It was a mission on Acer Pass. If there's anything I remember about that world, it was the fog. It was endless. I couldn't even see about 5-10 meters ahead. As the day went on, it got thicker, and the sun set lower. Thankfully, there was plenty of forestation to retreat into if things got too messy, but sometimes all we had to shield us from the endless barrage of laser blasters was a pile of rocks. Regardless, we fired off an ICBM and sent those bastard rust buckets back to the scrap that they came from, but they wouldn't allow us to make it out that easily. The bots dropped what I could only assume to be their entire armored division for that area: hulks, tanks, striders, and everything that an average bullet wouldn't scratch. They flushed us out of the extraction zone before the Pelican even had a chance to land, and as it did, we were too far out from it, and we needed to make a desperate push up. My railgun had become my assault rifle. My squad mates hailed as much anti-tank ordnance that they could at them, but then they dropped a platoon led by berserkers right behind us. Grenade came out of left field, knocking 2 of my squad mates over. With our destroyer's reinforcement budgets dried up, we had nothing left to do but run to the extraction and hope that nothing landed a fatal shot on us. 3 of us made it, but the last thing I saw before extracting was squad member S1 getting charred alive by a scorcher. This story was but one of the many fights raging on throughout the parts of the galaxy that the Helldivers have been deployed. See, in your average military narrative, a story like this may serve as an inciting incident in the plot. However, in Helldivers, complex combat situations like this naturally happen all the time. You see, Helldivers itself is designed in a particular fashion that allows it to automatically generate scenarios that, in other games, would have to be handcrafted. And in this video, I'd like to show you 3 factors that allows Helldivers to do this, with the first being teamwork. Now, if you've played Helldivers to any major capacity, you know the significance of loadouts. What you bring on the battlefield is only as important as what your teammates bring. That is to say, if you pick a loadout that doesn't pair well with those of your teammates, well, you won't exactly have the most fun mission. See, you need to fill out a certain role in your team. It doesn't have to be a predefined role, there are no classes, but you do need to find a niche to fill out, preferably one that fits your playstyle. For example, if you're like me, you love the railgun, which leaves the backpack slot free. Now, I could bring a shield pack, but I don't personally fancy HP conservation. I could bring a guard dog, but they tend to ruin stealth confrontations, which I often find myself in. So what I do is end up bringing the supply pack. This allows my railgun to stay topped off in ammo, but more importantly, it allows me to support my teammates when they need stims and are out of them. This combination alone already turns me from a standard issue Helldiver with gear to deal with standard enemies to a marksman who primarily hits medium and heavy enemies from afar while keeping himself and his teammates topped off on ammo behind the front lines. This is just one of what feels like an infinite amount of quote-unquote classes that any Helldiver could come up with. And that's just with free gear. The more war bonds you purchase, the more niches open up for you to fill. The hover pack could make you the designated chafe clearer by hovering above hordes, then using explosives to clear them out. The new solo silo paired with ranged explosive weapons like the Eruptor as a primary or the autocannon with AFET rounds can make you into the team's designated anti-air specialist. The possibilities are really just endless, but loadouts are not the only part of teamwork in Helldivers. Teamwork also comes in the form of how squad mates interact with each other. Even if everyone on the squad just has the same generic recoilless rifle and Eagle strafing run loadout, they can still engage in team play. You know, you need to cover each other, you need to watch each other's flank, you need to keep near each other, your squad has to cooperate or you will fail the mission. Helldivers encourages this team play as much as possible without annoying the player. A house divided cannot stand, and a squad divided never succeeds. Back when the new and improved Jet Brigade made its appearance, I deployed on Dumatir, and, well, we were almost immediately surrounded. Me and my squad mates took cover inside a crater while 2 Hulks rained laser fire upon us. They were dealt with, but it was too late. The dropships had already been called in. Before I knew it, a stray rocket sent me flying down to the feet of a Devastator. However, I quickly regained my balance and tore through Berserkers and a reinforced Scout Strider with the help of one of my squad mates. A Rocket Devastator hit me with a salvo though and knocked me clean on the ground. Thankfully, my squad mate was able to cover me while I laid on the ground and stimmed. We were able to make it out of that altercation with minimal casualties. Teamwork is a serious part of what allows Helldivers to generate these scenarios naturally. However, I believe that the next factor that causes these is survival. See, survival is a key part in the Helldivers gameplay loop. Sure, you're not relegated to one life per mission. However, you still have a limited amount of lives that are shared between all squad mates, which means when you die, you are, to an extent, actively hindering them. Additionally, the more Helldivers that fail to extract, the more penalty you will receive at the end of the mission. In a way, Helldivers makes the punishment a social one, where the only thing that is penalized is the player's fun and the fun of their fellow squad mates. This leads players to still try their hardest to survive when they come under fire, even when death doesn't punish their gameplay experience in a significant way. This leads to two kinds of situations, which, again, are most often staged in a majority of games. Situations that Helldivers can generate naturally, the first being the last stand. I'm sure you know what this is already. The Super Destroyer left, everyone's dead, and you're the only one left on the battlefield. You'll fight like hell to complete that mission, because even if you die, your actions will have an impact on the war effort and the morale of your spectating teammates. The other possible scenario is the holdout. Maybe you just caught extraction, maybe you're waiting for the escape pod data to upload, and maybe you're waiting for the E710 extracting shuttle. Whatever it is you're waiting for, the enemy will take advantage of that stagnation and throw everything they have at you. Bug breaches, drop ships, warp ships, all things that will summon as much infantry and armor as is possible to stop you from completing your task. And it's your squad's responsibility to stay alive and stop the swarms from halting the process. An example of the survival experience in Helldivers was way back, about 3 months ago from now. I was on a bot mission on Vernon Wells, and I experienced one of the shortest but most tense moments I had ever experienced in all my time playing the game. A factory strider was dropped right in front of us, and we had to quickly move behind cover to avoid the cannon turrets. We hit it with a bunch of stratagems, but it wouldn't stop. It just kept getting closer and closer. My teammates pulled out, but I stayed. I guess I froze up or thought it would die because I just sat there behind cover until it got closer and closer, and all I could do was sit there and wait helplessly while hoping that my teammates would... Okay. The final factor that I put into this list that I believe allows Helldivers to generate such complex combat situations is, of course, spectacle. There is no Helldivers without spectacle. Giant explosions, flying across the map, instant kill laser beams. There's no shortage of cool looking occurrences in Helldivers, and this allows you to clear out hordes with 500 kilogram bombs, or beam a Hulk with a rail cannon strike, or bring down a dropship with a quasar cannon. It's another kind of possibilities are endless type situation, and while it's really a lesser factor in comparison to the others, it still makes a big difference, especially in morale. I mean, if there was no 500 kilogram bomb, come on, like half the player base wouldn't have even found out about the game. Now, let's look at this final video clip to hammer the point home. The bots have surrounded you. Your teammates are a ways away, and there's a hell bomb strapped to your back. You know what you need to do. You arm the portable hell bomb and run right into the bots. An electromagnetic mortar shell lands directly at your feet, immobilizing the bots and yourself. You give them one final look of pride before showing them who the superior faction really is. Helldivers 2. Truly, one of the greatest games of this generation. It has managed to captivate both the early gamers who waited in those long lines to pick up a copy of Halo 2, and the newer generations of gamers whose big game catalog has far too long been riddled with soulless sequels and game concepts torn up by corporate greed. And that unification is because Helldivers is designed in a way that allows it to generate narratives completely naturally and through gameplay, strengthening the bonds between squads all over the galaxy. And that is ultimately the thesis of what Helldivers has accomplished. It's cooperating with your squad, it's fighting for your life, it's huge explosions, it's a complex combat narrative, and most of all, it's art. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, then be on the lookout for my video coming out next Friday, which will be a biological analysis of the Terminids in Helldivers 2. Otherwise, please like and subscribe, you know, the usual, and of course, thanks for watching, and goodbye.